Alrighty, morning everyone, and welcome back to another beautiful video on this beautiful channel on another beautiful day. In today's video I want to talk to you about whether or not gold and silver are or might be sold out in various shops all over the world in the future. Because that's something that a lot of people are actually worried about at the moment, that gold and silver might come to a state that you can actually not buy them anymore in shops. And over here in Europe, we of course have these extraordinarily massive markups on everything. So that's something that would probably prevent that to a certain extent and until a certain point. But I don't think that that is the same way all over the world. And we're going to talk about whether or not there's some truth to that, what you can maybe expect for that in the future, and whether or not it could happen that some things, or maybe even everything, can be sold out in things like, gold and silver shops online, or most likely more in person, right? These bigger online shops are less likely to get hit by something like that than like your normal street shop. So yeah, that's what we're going to talk about today. First of all, though, we're going to take a look at all the beautiful coins that I brought for you today. So first one is this very nice Perth Mint coin, and this is the 1 ounce Hades coin from the Greek Gods series. Really nice coin. I think the next version of this is already out, so if you're interested in that, you can probably get that somewhere. Next one is this beautiful 1 ounce Australian kangaroo in silver. Very nice coin. I bought these for very cheap back in the days. I think like 15 bucks or something like that. Of course, they're worth way more today, so that was good, but also kind of unfortunate because that means, obviously you can't buy any cheap ones today. Continuing on with this Luna 3 mouse, really beautiful coin, really high value coin at the moment for some weird reason. I don't know why. As I said in previous videos before this one, they made a lot of them, but people just like them so much, I guess. I don't know. And the last one is another Perth Mint coin. Geez, we only had Perth Mint coins today. Whatever. And this is a 1 ounce Australian kangaroo in gold from the year of 2019. Really beautiful coin, really good for investment if you get it for the right price, of course, because they're not all the same price as, they've got varying designs and stuff like that. The gold versions, not the silver ones. The silver ones are always the same. At least they have been over the last years. So, gold and silver and sold out and stuff like that. That is obviously something that most people would say, okay, that's somewhat unlikely. But you have to take into consideration, we had that. We had that in 2020 when, the silver price went down to like, 11 bucks or something absolutely ridiculous like that. Of course, that was not really what the price of silver was like, because you couldn't really buy anything for that price from like your normal precious metal dealers. You could pick up some panic selling on eBay and stuff like that from people that were just selling it for spot because they were a little stupid in their brains. But besides that, you didn't really have the opportunity to get anything, and it only lasted for like I think 2 days, and then it got straight back up to like 25 bucks or something like that. So that is obviously something that, that was the reason though why many online and also physical bullion dealers, well, both of them are really like physical bullion dealers, right? But the online companies and then your normal like little shop in your town or whatever, were sold out mostly. At least that was the case over here. I don't know how it was in America. I think it was similar to that, but obviously in America there's way more bullion to go around, so maybe it wasn't that bad. But over here you really couldn't buy stuff anymore. Like I know that the two bullion dealers that I usually buy from, one that is online and one that was a physical dealership, I went to both. The online shop had like 2 items left with like from the investment grade stuff. Of course, they had a lot of collector's coins and stuff like that that no one wants under any circumstances, really. Because there's a lot of collectible stuff, quote unquote, that just gets produced because someone thinks someone will want it, but it's really just something that's not interesting to anyone. But regardless of that, that stuff was there. But besides that, all of this investment grade stuff was gone. Same thing with the physical dealership. Nothing was there really. So great. I mean, it's nice thing that you wanted to buy something, but you couldn't. And that's the problem. And that's what some people are afraid of might happen again. And there is some reason to that. After all, we don't really mine that much silver, for example. Right, the silver production of last year had a surplus of approximately 1,000 tons. That might sound like a lot, but it's really not that much if you take into consideration that the investment demand was between 7 and 8,000 tons. So you couldn't really increase that a lot because you only had 1,000 tons surplus. And, when you're working with such thin margins, it's really not extremely far off to think that at some point, if there's something that goes on in the world where people all of a sudden want to buy increased amounts of gold and silver, like for example in 2020, where you just didn't have enough material for the people to buy, and of course you couldn't increase it a lot. Why? Because there was just not enough silver produced, not in 2020 and also not now. Probably will never change because silver is at the end of the day an industrial metal, and most of that is produced to be used. It's not like gold where it's just produced because it's worth something. Industrial metals are usually produced in the amount that is needed, right? And not with a massive excess because there just wouldn't be any need. So, interesting thought. However, I don't see that right now, not in this very moment, because at the moment, yes, situation all over the world is pretty much crap. I mean, we all know that. Every country has its issues, small or big, doesn't really matter. Every single one has them. So I don't see where there's something right now that could happen for silver prices to go down a lot or gold prices to go down a lot in the nearer future, because these problems are not something that you can just solve from one day to another. So I don't think that that's going to happen anytime soon, if at all over the next couple of years. We'll have to see about that. I don't really think so. Would be cool, but I don't think so. Yeah, and before that doesn't happen, prices of silver probably won't come down. Demand for silver and gold probably won't come down either. So it is reasonable to think that the demand of gold and silver is going to stay high over the next couple of years. And that obviously creates the interesting fact, so to say, that we've got a reasonably high level of demand all the time, right? And then if something were to happen where all of a sudden the demand would increase, it would be quite hard to supply that demand in a timely manner, so to say. And I don't really know what's going to happen in such a case. I mean, the price of silver is probably going to go up because of that. Regardless of all this manipulation with the paper silver stuff, the price of silver is probably going to go up because of that. Because if there's majorly increased demand for physical silver, there usually also is a majorly increased demand for paper silver, so the price of silver is probably going to go up. That is probably going to cause some people to sell their physical silver and therefore bring it back onto the market. But, and that's the important part, when the price of something goes up, that's never, statistically speaking, the time when people are selling. That is the time when people are buying. So even though that doesn't make any sense, I know, but that is still what happens almost every single time a price of something goes up. That's the time when people go in there. I don't know why, but that's just what it is. Whatever. And that is potentially not good for the physical market of silver. It might be good for the prices you're going to get for your silver, but if you're thinking about the topic of this video, which is silver and gold possibly being sold out, that might happen in a situation like that. Now, how likely is that? I don't know. I don't have a crystal ball. No one of us could have predicted the events of the last couple of years in any sort of relevant way. And so, I don't know. It might happen. It might also not happen. If nothing majorly, spectacularly shitty happens, like the stuff that we had over the last couple of years, then it's unlikely. But if something like that happens, with a magnitude of the stuff that we have had happen over the last couple of years, then it's possible, very possible, in fact quite likely, that we are going to get some amount of completely sold out shops all over the world pretty much. So, I don't know. I think it's realistic to think that it might happen, but it's not something that you can predict necessarily. So I would say, might happen, just don't do any panic buying and stuff like that, because it might also not. But it's just something to maybe keep in mind and to maybe look back on if something happens. And then you can say to yourself, yeah, well, I kind of knew that was going to happen at some point, and it didn't hit me just cold. So I think that's always a good thing, to not be completely surprised by something bad, because, if you're not completely surprised by it, you probably put some thought into it, and you probably also came up with some sort of something similar to a solution to that problem. So yeah, I would say just relax. It is possible that that's going to happen, but it's not extraordinarily likely. We'll just see. So yeah, that's pretty much my opinion on that. If you've got any other opinions, you can write that in the comments below. I'd be very happy about that. If you want to write something else there, you can also write that there. And if you have any questions, you can also write that there. If you want to, you can also rate the video with like a thumbs up or a thumbs down, whatever you might want to do. And if you want to make me happy, you can also subscribe to the channel, because we're actually very, very close to 1,000 subscribers now. I think we're like very close. We might have already hit it by the time that you're watching this video. I don't know when this is going to come out. I have produced some in advance, but we'll just see. So yeah, thank you very much for watching. Have a fantastic week, and until next time.